Welcome to Iona. We're using the Google Street View to get a sense of the Viking raid on Iona, which I'll go through as quickly as possible, but it should give you an idea of the topography and the geography. So if you want to, you will want to go back and look at this in your own time. You need to go to Google Maps and then search for Iona and make sure it's Iona, United Kingdom. And you're going to start in the tenants' village. The tenants' village back in the 9th century was in the same place as the modern day villages. So here we are, well rather here our Vikings are on their fabulous high-tech dragon ship. Yes, that's a modern-day ferry boat, but use your imaginations, people. Right, so we're arriving. This is Martyrs Bay in front of us. You can see lots of little craft dotted around. This would have been the main harbour for Iona then, as it is now. That's the village. Same location now as it was then. Let's take a look around. Isn't it lovely and rocky? Look at that lovely calm sea today for the Vikings to arrive. That is the island of Mull. Don't even bother going to look for help there. There's nobody else there. So, our Vikings are arriving at Martyrs Bay, where Blamach has spotted them. So, the Vikings are going to land, and we're now going to follow the route up to raid the monastery. All right, so we're looking back here towards our landing. Imagine our Viking boats are there. Here we go. We're going to turn around and ignore the modern buildings. And if you ever go to Europe, Spar is your 7-Eleven. That's your convenience store. But no, right. So what we missed coming in there, because you couldn't see because of the modern housing, is that on the left from the harbour, so to the left behind this house, there's burials there. Those are ones excavated that are referenced in the free to read Maldonado and Campbell article, that there's women and children in those burials. So they would have been pretty noticeable back then, if hard to see today. So we're walking up, we're running up to raid the monastery. There's some monks ahead of us there with their backpacks for us to chase. No, we don't need coffee. That has not been found yet. Here on the right, our first point of interest. That's the nunnery. There was a small community of female religious on Iona, separate from the main male-based community. Rawr, at the nuns. Oh, look, sheep. We might need to steal those. Here is a fearsome dragon beast coming towards us. Oh, those monks have got away. Let's take a right here. Oh, I see something looking like it might provide some wealth for us dead ahead. And look, some monks hanging around outside for us to slaughter. That looks like a garden, like somebody's growing fruit and crops. Ah, look, our first sign of Christianity, a high cross. The landscape is varied. They're growing fruit in some places, but then there are plenty of rocks in others. It's as well as Vikings are tough individuals. This is quite the run from the bay to the monastery. last, we've reached the Vallum. Now, the medieval entrance to the monastery, well, the one that we're interested in our time, would have been through this cemetery on the right-hand side here, not through where these heathens are standing. This is the early chapel. This is now the Benedictine chapel. It's later. It's from the 12th century, so that would not have existed during our raid. Now, at this point, it would be a good idea to look at the maps that are in the slides and the overall talk that I gave you that's on Canvas. Have a look at the aerial images showing the where the Vallum was located, and look at all these lumps and bumps. Okay, so we can only see the early chapel is now behind this mound, and this is the later buildings, but there would have been a lot more there in the 9th century, made out of timber. Let's have a closer look at some of these. I see another high cross. And more. Many of these would have been there at the time of the Viking raid. It's a lovely day on Iona. Here is the original pathway, the medieval pathway that would have come up through the cemetery, not the pathway that we actually ran up. We'll pretend that our Vikings went the wrong way, but this is the medieval pathway. Here we are inside St. Oran's Chapel, one of the earlier chapels. Now, this is the later insertion, but we can see the most important people would have been buried inside here. And these are coffin slabs. And here we are outside in the cemetery. So our medieval, the route that our Vikings would have taken, would have come through this area. There would have been framed on either side by many more crosses like the ones we just saw. There are more recent monuments in this cemetery, but would have been a lot more in the Middle Ages. This would have been an actual processional, clear route for the Vikings to follow. And here I will leave you. You'll need to investigate further. Would you go looking for things and to orient yourselves? And to look at the lecture video for some more aerial images, as well as the, I recommend the Campbell and Maldonado article, which is, if you copy that out of the game book and Google it, you'll be able to get a free copy of it, which contains lots more information that you can use.